welcome to Health Issues. I'm your host, Chris Sylvain, and we are thoroughly excited about today. This is what we've been talking about. This is what it's all about. We have an expert here, and he's been on the show before. He's no stranger to health issues, and in fact, many of you know him. He is the Director of Community Development for Dillard University in New Orleans. Welcome, Mr. Harris. How are you?
Thank you, Chris, for having me here today.
Well, we are excited to have you, and before we even move, tell us about the community. It needs development, doesn't it?
Chris, our community has always needed a helping hand, but we have some very good people that are doing things for themselves and moving forward. And I go forward back as Dutch Moriel days when I was the director of the Office of Minority Business, and also doing UDAG's Urban Development Action Grants. But as the director of the Office of Minority Business under Dutch Moriel, now that's almost 30 years ago. Okay, 40. 40 years ago. Okay. Well, anyways, I think I have my hand on the pulse of what the needs are of the community, and looking at businesses, starting off, from the beginning, and the type of capital they need, the type of additional training they need in accounting and estimating, and what contractors are looking for bonding and all these different areas. So, you see there's a gap in there, and so in 2015, that gap still exists. It exists in contractors having bonding. Contractors are people, individuals wanting to get their contractor's license, individuals wanting to get their DBE certification, individuals trying to get an 8A certification for federal contracts. So, and we have a lot of business flowing through this city. But as far as disadvantaged businesses or minority businesses, there's a different scale, So, there's a lot of things we have to do to bring the businesses up so they'll be able to obtain some of these opportunities that are out there.
Okay, now, I just found out that out of all of the receipts that flow through the city of New Orleans, all right, minority businesses, that includes women and every race known to man, okay, only take in 1.9% of all of the money that flows through the city. So that means African Americans, that slice nobody knows may be less than 1%. We really, really don't know. And we've understood that it's decreased. Tell me, how can we be so broke and not get no money?
Well, there are many reasons why it shouldn't be that way. There are so many different organizations and nonprofits and other agencies out there in order to provide a service to small businesses for technical assistance, for information on doing their taxes, their books, from accounting services, information on showing them how to bid, the bidding process, and to move from there. But it's all about business, and in many cases. Now, the other part too is that we really need to, for our banking, our lending institutions, to make a commitment in order to go to seek out and to help to address the needs of small minority-owned businesses by providing educational workshops for them, ways to have startup capital for them to move and to start a business, and ways they can use their own equity in order to obtain additional financing to move forward. But it really depends on a helping hand from the financial institutions in order to help these small businesses. And startup capital is one of the main problems we have with young businesses trying to get up started at an early stage of the game.
Well, so it's been 30 years, and my understanding, the needle has gone the wrong way as far as for of accessing, having a piece of the pie, so to speak. And the business people that I talk to, when they're trying to access capital, they don't have enough collateral, or it's definitely, if they had as much collateral or net profit, they wouldn't need the loan in the first place. But the brook has dried up, so to speak. The money's tight for minority businesses. I think they're doing a great job with the with the new business incubators and so forth. But as far as for actually coming up with true dollars, we see no green anywhere.
Well, I tell you one thing, Chris. It's very tough out there. Okay, and I do know that with the banks, with them having their Community Reinvestment Act, and every bank has a CRA representative, and in order to help to promote business opportunities in the community in which the bank is located, I think that more banks should make themselves more visible to the public, to small businesses by having informationals and opportunities within their bank. Regions Bank, Chase Bank, Capital One Bank, Iberia Bank, all these banks have a CRA, Community Reinvestment Act personnel, and that person responsibility is to really to provide information and opportunities for economic development growth within their community. So if we're not calling on these CRAs at the different banks, we should call upon them.
Yeah, but they don't talk to startups.
Well, that's the other part too. There are some other programs that we had, SECO and some other programs that was out years ago, and these programs may not exist today, but they were startup companies that are providing seed money for new businesses coming in.
And we have I would say, a plethora of young African Americans that are ready and willing. They make money for everybody else.
We most certainly do, and there are several of them out there, and they have a lot of different workshops. In fact, through the City of New Orleans, they have the DBE certification process, the Diversity Suppliers Office. They have a program through their office. They provide all type of services and educational workshops for startup businesses, and these are places that we have to seek out. So the city has addressed the needs of the businesses, but now, we just need to take it a little bit further on where we're going to move with them. Well,
let's talk about this DBE issue. My understanding is that with the DBE programs, they're heavily weighted towards, obviously, construction, all right, and those types of things. But in fact, the businesses that have the most potential these days, because that post-Katrina construction, that's about over, all right? So, construction firms, they're going out of business by I don't know what, but as far as for retail and technology and the businesses of today that have no collateral, they only have brain power and hard work.
Yep, but let me say on this other side too, as far as DBEs and women-owned businesses, you have different categories for these companies. You have consulting, you have goods and services, and you have construction companies. Okay, and these are the different categories. And I think that people, when they deciding on the type of business they are going to have, to look in these different areas. Now, in some cases, maybe within the city of New Orleans, if the price of the goods or service is under a certain amount, they can do telephone call to 3 companies, whatever, and get the bids in that way if it's under a certain amount. Okay, if it's over a certain amount, then it goes into a bidding process. The same way which should be done through I believe one place that all the businesses should contact is the New Orleans Black Chamber of Commerce, because they just moved to a new office, I believe, out in the East New Orleans East, and about different opportunities as far as the private sector is concerned for business opportunities within the private sector. Government is not the only sector in which opportunities exist, but within these other small businesses, there are also opportunities for people to do business with.
The end result, though, is no green. So whatever avenues are available, nobody's been able to figure this out.
Yeah, well, I think it's green out there, okay? And I not only think it's green out there, I know it's green out there, okay? And it's the way that you approach it. And it's the way that you're building your business. You have to build your business with good customer service. You have to build your business with good accounting services. You have to build business with the opportunity to have a very good marketing plan and a business plan in order to go out there and seek the opportunities that you want. You have to know exactly what you want to do and present it as a business. Okay, it's not a plaything, it's a business. And customer service and the way you present yourself, the way that you dress, the way that you have your paperwork looking, you have to go out there as a business.
Well, question though, and that's a good point, because many would say that those who say that black participation in business at 1% is only because we're just lazy. We just don't want to do it. Now, you're not saying that, of course, but they're saying that there is no redlining in the banks. The banks have equal capital for everybody else. Everybody has equal startup. So the only reason black businesses have been at 1% for the past 40 years, and I always wonder, has it been the past 500 years? Because I think we're at 1% during slavery. Definitely during segregation. You had grocery stores around there. So we hadn't moved. So if it's either our fault or it's the system. Well, it can't be both.
Well, I don't think. I don't know whose fault it is, but I do know that in a lot of cases we do need to support other minority businesses. Okay, and
we do support minority businesses. It's just not black.
Okay. Well, this is amazing, but we do support them. Okay, I say you need to support other minority businesses. Okay, and I really believe in that, and that's where the growth comes from. That's where the growth comes from.
Okay, all right, we're good. We're still there. I guess the thing of it is that. That literally becomes the argument that the community is making on television, everywhere else, that if blacks aren't making it, it's our own fault. And so therefore, for 500 years, if we can't move the needle, let's say in the past 40 years, let's kick out the 470. If we can't move the needle, is it something defective about us why we can't create businesses that are anywhere near making an impact to move the political realm? Or will we always need community development people to come out and help us?
Well, yes, you do need community development people to come out to help you. And because these community development people most likely do not have their own business, they work for another entity, and so they're taking their time in order to help. Now, in certain cases, because we do not own a plethora of different businesses in the African American community, and that we can send from this major company out to help Peter, Paul, and Mary do whatever they have to do, from the other nonprofits that have this expertise. It is important to have these services in order to help businesses that's located in lower income communities and people who may have had a talent or a hobby that they're now trying to move into a business. And that's what happens really when the unemployment is very high, is that sometimes people take talents in which they have and turn those talents into businesses. You had the same thing during Katrina when you had so many people out of work, but yet the folk who were very good in building homes and folk that was good in brick masonry and these different areas, they wanted to do business as well, but unquote, they had to have insurance. So these companies didn't have insurance, because they were just Paul and James, who lived next door, was an excellent brick masonry company. So he wasn't thinking about all the bidding process and doing the estimating and getting all the insurance, because he knew that someone from the community would call him up and say, look, can you do this and repair this for me? Well, now those same big people, and these are younger people, they want to get their license. They want to get their contractor's license. And they want to get the insurance. They want to get all that. So now they're moving in the track. They want to do it the right way because they see the advantage of opportunities out there, because no longer can Miss Jane that lived next door going to do business with, because she was told if they do not have their license, if they do not have insurance, don't do business with them, And rightly so. Miss Jane got to protect her property. She worked 30 years for that. And so if she doesn't want to do business with a person who has not gone through the right protocol or taken the correct pathway to get to where they need to be, then she has every right not to do business with that person.
So what's wrong with black people?
Well, it's not, I would say, anything wrong with black people. I wouldn't say there's anything wrong with black people, but it's just the opportunity and the idea is that you have to follow the directions in which are out there in order for you to make it along that pathway.
But we don't want to do it.
Well, if you don't want to do it, then you just won't have it.
But I'm saying that it hadn't happened since slavery.
Well, maybe that's the bad thing. It should happen. We have to, but at the same time, we still need the banks and the banks. I have to say the financial institutions with the programs in which they do have in order to bring economic development to all communities, to all people. Because when one segment is doing good, everyone is doing good.
But the banks are saying exactly that. The banks are saying, come up with some collateral and we'll loan you the money. the banks are saying they're saying we're not redlining, that we'll give the same loan with the same credit score and the same collateral, all right, and same thing with housing. All right, you work community development. You work with housing. That's kind of how we got here. In housing, landlords are saying that no, we'll give the same apartment or the same interest rate. All right, whether somebody's black or white. But whenever this thing is investigated, we find disparities in the housing. All right, and banking. Okay, which is very difficult to see because if banks are loaning money, they're loaning money based upon credit scores. They're loaning money based upon the financials, but they also have goodwill and what they believe and how they feel.
Well, I'm gonna say it like this. Okay, I've seen African American developers that build homes. Okay, right. I've seen, and I just met with an African American developer that's going to build a strip shopping center here in the city.
Great.
Okay, and so these are businesses, and I know people, and I see folk who are buying duplexes and fourplexes and these different type things, you know, to rent them out and make money and buy other homes and keep moving. You have a lot of folk here in this city. Okay, and I'm going to use New Orleans as an example. In this city, that's doing some excellent things, okay, and moving forward and doing it, okay? And those are the type of things that I do appreciate. And when you talk about community development, it also means taking care of your community, all right?
Right.
Now, who want to build a nice fourplex and apartment complex in the area where the people in the area are not taking care of the property in which they're currently in?
Cut the grass.
Don't want to do anything like that. Why should I build there? Why should I go there? You know, this is investment property. I was telling some folk at a neighborhood meeting the other day, I said it's totally unacceptable for you to be in a area and to accept your neighbors parking, leaving motors in the middle of the street and doing this and doing that, and throughout the neighborhood, because it's just bringing your property down.
Well, you know,
the value of your property.
That's right. So we have 53% unemployment of African American men in the city. All right. Like I said, we're at 1% or whatever on black businesses. All right. And we're heading south. We're not going up. We're going down. Things are getting real bad. And so with the, I would say, let's call it the conservative community, would comfortably say, we get out of life what we put into it.
Well, and that's true. You get out of life what you put into it. And say like this, and I was telling a minister one day, and that we were looking at a particular area in the city, and I felt like I wasn't being compassionate enough, but I felt like I was because I didn't have the same idea that he had as far as how people should be taken care of.
Right.
Now, schools are free.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost a penny to go to a public school.
Or you can get it on the internet.
I remember when I was growing up, some kids had to stay home to take care of their little brothers and sisters because they didn't have daycare. They didn't have preschool and all those different programs. And mama had to go out and work. Daddy, if daddy had to go out and work, whatever, but someone stayed home. What we see today are people making a choice of not completing high school. Education is the key to it.
That's on them.
It's on you. If you look, education is the key to moving forward with your life.
Well, let's look at it this way then. So if we look at it historically, you're at the university, and if a people group have not been able to figure this basic thing out of cutting the grass, going to school, keeping the family together, okay, it's either somebody's knocking them off the horse and keeping them down, or it's just the natural way that they operate. They're 3/5 of a human. They're humanoids. They're not really fully human. Their brains have not reached the point of development to whereas they can operate in an intellectual manner. So obviously, the majority of this group of people must not have the ability, or else just by happenstance would have more than 1% of sales.
Well, I'm gonna say, I mean,
we throw the ball up, it ought to be at least 10%. If we're 60% of the population, you can't have 53% out of work. I mean, just by Harris Casino would give us better odds than that.
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you the truth, Chris. I'm going to applaud the people that are working every day. I'm gonna
the 47.
I'm gonna applaud them.
47%.
I'm gonna applaud the people that's working every day, the folk that's going to school and getting their education, getting their advanced degrees, and taking their kids to church or wherever they're taking the kids to, and being a family unit, holding the family together. Because you know why? We don't do it enough.
But so again though, but why what's wrong with us?
Well, I'm gonna tell you something.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna tell you something. Everyone should be a copycat.
Okay.
We do not give enough hoorays and pat us on the back for these young kids that are doing a great job. We concentrate on the people who are not thinking about it, moving forward. I want to reward that young man and that young lady who decided to move on with their education, who decided to do things the way that their parents told them to do it, okay? And let the other ones copy from them.
Well, but I guess what we're saying is, since, as you say, since Dutch Moriel's administration, since Martin Luther King, since civil rights movement, since the Voting Rights Act, this process, we have less young men applying for medical school now than we did 40 years ago. I mean, we're going backwards. We have mass incarceration. We have all these young men, and we have more people in prison now. All right, so if the majority is going wrong, is it wise to look at the smaller minority? If 53% are out of work, all right, if 1/3 of all African American men find themselves in prison, okay.
But I'm gonna tell you something.
Go ahead.
In some cases, that's a choice.
All right, but I guess my point of it is, as a race of people, all right, if people say, well, then that means, that's beyond a shadow of a doubt, that if this race of people, all right, we may have a few that can do well, a minority, but what they're saying is that we don't have the intellect. We can do good at bouncing a basketball and singing. And so the proof would be in the statistics.
Yeah, well, I don't believe that at all.
Warren Buffett even said it. Warren Buffett made the statement. It was in the Wall Street Journal. Warren Buffett said that what happens is, in an agrarian society, hey, blacks and whites or whatever, everybody was pretty well equal. He didn't use blacks and whites, but basically that's what he was saying. He's saying, but now in this new technological age where it takes a little more complex skills, that it's natural for people to be at minimum wage, the majority of them. Because literally, I guess what he's saying is that that's just the way it is. And we should be happy, and we just need to step and fetch it on ourselves and have a good time, a jolly good time. And he's a jolly good fellow.
I don't know about everyone being happy and walking around happy because they're broke and whatever. But if you haven't done anything to get yourself out of that situation,
so be it.
So be it. You know, and I think that's the way we have to move. We have to move forward with it, and we have to give thanks and applaud the parents who are doing an excellent job with their kids and telling their kids the truth. You know, it's important for you to finish school and to get a good trade, or either to go to college and whatever, find a good job, start looking for your job before you finish college, or start when you're in trade school or in high school. Think about where you want to go with life, okay? And then also learn how to be a stakeholder in your community. You see, I'm going to tell you something, and this is just my belief, okay? When you give a child everything, he's not going to want to do anything. Okay?
All right.
All right. So we went through that era where African Americans were able to get the foot through the door and get good jobs and whatever, and so they gave the child this and gave the child that and gave the child that. Right. Well, if I give you anything, you're not going to take care of it.
Well, I guess, but the point of it is that before the foot in the door, we didn't go anywhere either.
Yeah.
Again, Warren Buffett's point. If it's genetic for us, if it's just the natural way, you know, the mayor even said that a lot of people believe that, not that he doesn't believe that is natural, but the argument is that there are many who believe that that's just the natural way, that blacks, we don't have it and we need to be good. In other words, as they build the housing units for the cooks and waiters, look, we're good at cooks and waiters, and we just need to be happy with that.
I disagree with all that.
But if you disagree, then what has stopped us from advancing?
But it depends on what you're saying advancing. Are you talking about advancing monetarily? Are you talking about advancing as far as your beliefs and your faith? Or are you advancing as far as a peace of mind? Look, you can have all the money in the world and not have peace of mind.
Take your pick, whether it be money, health, education, all right?
Well, a good night's sleep for me, okay? All right?
Well, we'll cut it. Chris Sylvain with Health Issues. We're excited. I think this debate is something we need to carry on with Mr. Nick Harris. We'll carry it on after the show a little bit better. But fight as hard as you can. But understand what's going on. Read, study, be the best that you can be. But don't let anybody allow you to compromise. Stay with it. Appreciate it.